I'm Dalton.
And I'm Wells.
And we are Four Color Media.
Welcome to Southern Fried Geekery.
Thanks, guys.
1, 2, 3.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Southern Fried Geekery podcast. And if I'm not mistaken, this is episode 47 and we are thankful as fuck because it's the week after Thanksgiving. If I'm trying to do some weird timey-wimey stuff, so we're pre-recording this because the holidays are happening and we all have things that we are socially obligated to do that we probably really don't want to, but we're going to do them anyway because we like being married. And we don't.
I don't have anything going on.
Oh, well.
It's just you.
It's just me.
I'm building models after this, so that's something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's it.
All right, sweet.
He missed it. We're not going to go there.
No.
Yep.
Have you read Hillbilly this week?
Did Hillbilly come out this week? Is that what you guys were talking about?
No. What we're talking about is that this is the Thanksgiving episode.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
We are so thankful that you guys have chose to listen to us once again. If you have been liking what you have been hearing, we encourage you to come be a part of our Facebook group and join us on Instagram and the Twitters and send us emails and talk about stuff with us because that's what we really want this to be, is a community building type thing where we connect with you guys and then you listen to us and eventually we grow up to be millionaires. That word was millionaires, but I don't know what it came out of.
I was like, sure, what he said. I think that was a word.
I want to be a millionaire.
As usual, I'm Caleb, but this week with a hangover.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Jerry.
And we are once again minus a Craig, but he's going to probably poke his head in every once in a while and say hi. Say hi, Craig.
No,
See, I told you.
You're supposed to say hi, Craig. That was the joke. Thank you.
Let the man work.
Craig is on the struggle bus because he has a major work project that he's trying to get done.
And if you were like, wow, Craig was working last time you guys recorded. Yeah, he's been working a week straight.
He hasn't stopped.
Yeah,
No,
he has not stopped.
Not a single
He is
time.
glued to his computer.
No turkey for you, Craig.
He has been granted a bucket and water.
Yeah, get off of those Thanksgiving leftovers, buddy.
So, but now that we are officially past Thanksgiving in showtime, Christmas is upon us, or the holiday season for our Jewish friends. Happy Hanukkah. But anyway, regardless of what you celebrate, it's the gift giving season. You know what makes a great stocking stuffer? That was a
Oh, you were waiting on that was an actual question.
We're terrified to answer at this point.
Southern Fried Geekery t-shirts.
Oh.
Of which we have.
We do.
If you would like a Southern Fried Geekery t-shirt, Craig, what are you selling them for?
$10.
They are $10, and you can shoot us an email at southernfriedgeekery@gmail.com, stating that you want one with your size, and we will work out a way to get it to you and take your money.
Craig, what sizes do we have available?
Every.
That's why I didn't ask that question.
Oh.
Put your hat back on.
Small through 2X is what
Small
we have
through
available.
2X. Yeah, get one for your loved one. If you are a listener of the show and you would like one, and you would like one of your loved ones to buy it for you, then tell them to contact us.
If you don't buy one from us, we'll just assume that you don't have a loved one or you don't love anybody.
That's exactly. That's
At least love yourself and get you a nice Southern Fried Geekery t-shirt.
Put that SFG on your back. It'll make you happy. You know what else makes me happy? Hanging out with you guys. Aww. That was just a segue to say some sweet things. But also, trade paperbacks and graphic novels. They make me really happy. And we're going to talk about a few of those today. But first.
I actually have a shout out to give.
That's what the but first was.
Okay, thank you. That was my segue. You didn't look at me, you looked at Sean. I thought he had something to say.
I'm very pretty. I have a nice beard.
It's one of those things where, like, you know, you have all these things in a room, but your eyes are always directed towards the most prettiest thing.
Yeah. You're welcome.
It's your beard.
As you can tell, we're really laid back and not structured this week because, well, the holidays have broken us.
It's definitely the scotch and the coffee.
It's got to be that.
Mine is just crippling depression.
Slowly turning in to the Long Box podcast.
So my shout out that I had this week was from a friend of mine, Emily. She is a pretty great artist. She's a pretty great writer. She just launched a website. I think it was actually this week. It's called awkwardemilyf.com. She is a designer, illustrator, and ice cream enthusiast from Little Rock, Arkansas, and she sells prints and the such online. She actually just drew up, I sent her an image of one of my miniatures, and she drew up a sketch of him, and I thought it was kind of neat. She occasionally does these drawing prompts. She also has a book that she published herself and everything and put
Very
out
cool.
on Amazon, and I feel really bad because I didn't bring that up, and I don't have it here in front of me, so I can't remember.
That's
what
fine.
it's called. I'm so
It's a
sorry.
thought that counts.
Yep. But
Boo, Jerry,
go check her stuff out. She is pretty freaking awesome.
Since we're doing shout outs, go find Deborah Warner on YouTube. She did TED Talks, talked about living with male survivors of sexual abuse. Psychologist, really good. She's got a book out. Go check it out.
Hey, Craig, look, your shadow. Oh no.
Go back to your hole. But good shout out, though, for
So
real.
weird that
Thank
he's
you.
not here yet. I hear his voice.
Yes. Well, like I said, he is with us in every face of every child that we see.
Is he like force ghosting us right now?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's his astral projection. Craig is secretly Dr. Jedi Strange.
Don't forget to put on deodorant before you leave the house.
Exactly. Ooh, Doctor Strange is a Jedi.
Well,
Anyway, sorry.
Right.
no, he's a wizard, isn't he?
But he
Protect the wizard.
Jedi or space wizards?
Both. Yeah. True.
I guess in the spirit of shouting out people who deserve shout outs, since I think that's what we're doing, is so if you get a chance, we've had her on the show before, and I always like to steer people towards her. But our friend Wendy Freeman hosts one of the best interview podcasts in like comic and fandom and film, and I mean she just does everything. She's really good. Every year about this time, and she hasn't dropped it yet, but I assume by the time you listen to this that she probably will have, she puts out a holiday special where it's, like we just said, our shirts make great stocking stuffers and stuff that you can buy. She does an entire episode that is essentially just talking about things that are on the market right now that would look amazing under the tree or amazing as a Hanukkah gift or a Kwanzaa gift or a Festivus gift or whatever you want to celebrate. And I think she's going to have a couple of guests on this week, or maybe this week, maybe later this week, maybe sometime, who are going to hint at what some of those gifts might be. So if you are looking for nerdy type presents for your beloved geek in your life, you should check out that episode, her holiday special. And she's going to give you some great ideas. And, she's going to have some friends that help her out along. I don't know who that could be. I don't know. It's a mystery.
Hey, Wendy. I hope you're doing great.
We love
You're
Wendy.
doing a stellar job. Keep up the good work.
I got really drunk last night and FaceTimed her.
I hear that you did that to a lot of people, and I feel like you don't consider me a true friend because you didn't FaceTime me. Where was my FaceTime?
Right now. You're getting the real thing.
Oh, okay.
Is Jerry really slighting for people for not being invited to things?
You know what, Sean?
And
nice.
suplexes just happened.
I'd try. If I wanted to invite everybody that I needed to, that would be the largest mass message ever.
You're quite needy. You're right.
Yes, I need the attention.
What? Put your hat back on.
I know.
I don't
it's
like it.
weird. It was feeling okay.
Your hair is doing weird.
I know. I didn't do anything to do it this morning. I don't really have crazy outings that I need to do today or anything.
Just going to be out in public with us and just go build
I
model
don't
kits.
really.
and-
Where's your self-respect, man? Are you even wearing pants?
Well,
Not anymore.
Sean, you got anybody you want to shout out, brother?
I wasn't prepared for this.
you got this. I believe in you.
Maybe your wife.
I'm taking my pants off right now as we speak.
No, she doesn't listen. She doesn't deserve a shout out.
Hey, Caleb, I'm wearing them underwear that you bought me last
Oh,
year for
nice.
Christmas.
How they feeling?
They're super comfortable.
They keeping you nuts nice and dusty?
They are.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right. What's up, Sean? You got something for us?
Even though Jerry's being a dick, I'm actually going to give another shout out to his model building club. Gunpla and Chill has definitely been created by Jerry and pushed by him and others. They had their first booth at the Comic-Con, which we did discuss. And it's a hobby I'm very casual about, but it is something very fun. And I'm just encouraging, check it out if you are in the central Arkansas area. Mm-hmm. But if you're listening and you're a fan, it's not hard to kind of find another hobby store and to kind of do something similar.
Right.
I think it's a hobby. I think it's a lot of fun. I always see model kits at every convention we go to. Mm-hmm. You can help it grow and something fun. So shout out to Jerry and all his efforts and encouragement to others.
Thanks, buddy.
It's the best I got.
That's a good one, man.
Yeah, go fuck yourself, Jerry.
That is
So
a
endearing.
good one. Well, but so we don't have listener questions this week, and as you guys can kind of tell, we're keeping this loose and kind of just free form as we record this. At the end of it, though, you should stick around because I'm throwing on it's not an interview per se. It's a panel that I hosted at Comic Conway when we were there, and it's got Brian Steward, who is a dear friend of the show. You've heard him on here before. It's also got Jack Russo, the man who wrote Night of the Living Dead, who is one of the last surviving creators, of that show. And it's got him on there and talking about all the amazing things, talking about writing the show, talking about making it, what the inspiration of it was. At the time, they were both drawing zombies as they were speaking, so it was really interesting to be a part of, and you should check that out because it was really, really fun, and I think you'll really, really enjoy it. But before we get there, we're going to talk about some collected editions or some trade paperbacks, but before we get there, I'm springing something on you guys.
Oh, no.
Lord did you.
Let's name something that we're thankful for because this is a Thanksgiving episode.
Why are you looking at me? God, why did you pick me? How are you going to spring a question and then pick? You've obviously already been thinking about this.
Did you
question.
not just berate me for not making eye contact with you a few minutes ago? Now you're telling me I'm in trouble for doing that? I need you to make up your mind, Jerry.
Much.
Nothing you're doing makes sense.
I am so thankful for Caleb.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah. And Sean and Craig, my friends, my 3 amigos.
That was good.
Yeah. For you know.
Are you trying to appropriate Spanish culture by saying 3 amigos?
You know what, Sean?
Now he's not. Now he doesn't appreciate.
I appreciate your candidness, sir.
I got nothing.
You're a dear friend of mine.
What are you thankful for, Sean?
My time away from Jerry. No.
Time spent.
I mean, like, no doubt about it. Jerry he hit the nail on the head, to be honest. This is something I look forward to every week. I'm thankful for y'all for putting this together. I'm thankful for everything the 3 of you contribute into this show to make it happen. I'm thankful for all the listeners.
Yeah.
It's going to get real sappy here in a minute. Y'all keep us motivated in more ways than you probably even realize. From the comments to the requests of drawings to just tuning in to hear us ramble about funny books and Caleb go on the occasional political rant.
Every once in a while that happens. So I'm thankful for political rants.
Yeah.
That's something I'm thankful for. No, man, just in general, I'm going to echo you guys. That was kind of where I was going with it. I'm thankful for being a part of this amazing community. And it is you guys. I'm thankful for Craig and the fact that, we're sitting at Craig's table right now recording this, but we could not do this show without him. We couldn't do this show we could do it without you guys. No, I'm just kidding. Totally kidding. We could do it without Jerry.
We can go without Jerry. Well, you said we guys though first. I'm going to go off that. We can leave now, right?
Yeah, right.
Let's go. Let's go build model kits.
It's just me reading a story. No. But we're thankful I'm thankful for the creators that are on social media, that interact with us, that make the things that we love. I'm thankful for the fans that aren't douchebags to those people. Thankful for the comics, man. Just in general. It's rad. I love it. I love being part of this.
I'm thankful
Really
for
cool.
my amazing girlfriend working in Seattle right now.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for my wife tolerating my existence.
I'm thankful my husband hasn't poisoned me yet.
Craig, what are you thankful for?
Turkey.
Craig's thankful for turkey.
All right, so are y'all ready to talk about some trade paperbacks and some collected stuff, some goodness? Let's just jump in here. All right, I'm going to kick us off since this was my grand idea to do this whole thing. So there is a book. It's not a trade paperback. It's an actual graphic novel. It's completely all-encompassed. It is a New York Times bestseller. It is a winner of the Caldecott Honor, and it is also a winner of the American Library Association's Honor Book Prize. It's kind of a big deal. It's got some nice little shiny silver things on the front of it. And the book is called This One Summer by Jillian and Mariko Tamaki. They're cousins that made this book together. Now, if Mariko Tamaki sounds familiar, it's because you've heard us talk about it. She is the writer who is currently working on X-23 right now. She's doing that book. She did the Hulk that turned into She-Hulk run. She's done a lot. She's done some work for DC. Jillian has continued to avoid doing work as part of the big two, but she has done her own set of graphic novels. She's a wonderful artist. She has her own unique cartooning style. It's a lot of fun. So this book I'm just going to read you the synopsis of it to give you kind of an idea of what it is. Rose and her parents have been going to Owego Beach since she was a little girl. It's her summer getaway, her refuge. Her friend Wendy is always there too, like the little sister she never had, completing her summer family. But this summer is different. Rose's mom and dad won't stop fighting, and Rose and Wendy have gotten tangled up in a tragedy in the making in the small town of Owego Beach. It's a summer of secrets and heartache. It's a good thing Rose and Wendy have each other. This book is a memoir. It is written, you can conceptualize it as potentially being Mariko's childhood. Rose, the main character, is she is half, I want to say half Chinese, half American, just like Mariko is. They go to this vacation spot every year, and it's meant to bring the family together. But what you quickly realize is that the family dynamics are falling apart. And that's the main part of this book. But the book is also, it's the summer that the character Rose, or the character Emily, finds out a lot about herself that she maybe didn't know. It deals with some emerging sexuality. There's some lesbian undertones to the book. There's nothing graphic because they are talking about children, but you get that one of the characters may have a crush on the other one that they don't know how to really deal with. Aside from that, look, I grew up in a small town. A lot of times in a small town, there's nothing to do. The only things that there are to do are dope and fuck. And that's one of these small towns. And so a couple of the characters in this book who are not the main characters, are those people. And, there's a kid who works at a movie store that they go to rent movies from who gets a girl pregnant, and he's not prepared to deal with it. And she's not emotionally capable of handling those situations herself. And so you get all of these real to life problems, things that we know about, that we can see in our own communities and our own lives, really displayed before you. It's a very serious book, but it also is from a child narrator. And so you get some whimsical perspective, and it's trying to figure out these larger adult concepts through the eyes and the mentality of a child. And it's brilliantly done. Mariko has done a wonderful job of it. Jillian, just also to her credit, has made this book so fantastic. She has a cartooning style that it's a blend of kind of early American and manga style. You can see a manga influence there, but it's not overburdensome, if that makes sense. Like, she's not Trad Moore. It's more Felix the Cat than it is the manga style, but it's like a blend of the two. The book has almost no color, but it's also not black and white. It's all done in shades of gray and purple. The cartooning and the characterization is phenomenal. And she does so much with color. Even the limited color that she uses, which, like I said, is mostly just grays and purple. She evokes everything that she needs to evoke with it. The tones are just spectacular to draw this story about the loss of innocence, the turning point of a childhood. It's phenomenal. If you can probably find this book at your local Barnes and Noble. You can definitely find it on Amazon. It is the book that really put Mariko and Julian both on the map, and in a lot of ways, it's a heartbreaker, or at least it's a worrier. So you're going to get attached to these characters. You're going to invest in them. And you're going to have a really good ride along the way of figuring out where do they go from here, and what are the dynamics like, and what happens when they go back home when the summer's over. Does real life pause? Maybe not. Maybe some of these problems don't stay at the cabin, and maybe the cabin becomes a place that is never again going to be seen. So yeah, man, fun book, fun book. On the back of it, you get lots of little blurbs from people like Hope Larson saying the Tamakis have raised the bar for young adult comics. Craig Thompson loved it. He is the guy who wrote Blankets. If you've never read that, also check that out.
Very good.
Yeah, Svetlana Chimakova is also an amazing author. So it's being lauded copiously, and like I said, it's got nice little shiny things on the front that at least speak to me as saying, hey, this deserves something to be consumed. This is not a superhero book. This is not sci-fi or fantasy. It is a novel. It is very literary. So if serious books, even serious young adult true to life books, aren't your thing, you might not like it, but you might give it a chance. If nothing else, the art's great. Find out what all you can do with the color purple. So it's, pick it up. And if you know somebody who likes books, like I said, the holiday season's coming up. So throw this in their stocking.
For mine, I kind of went like sort of wacky, fun route with it. Always like if I can, especially if I'm getting a superhero book, if I can get something that collaborates other heroes without it being like, too, I don't want to say crazy or over the top because that's exactly what this fucking book is. But like too serious and like consequential. So the story that I actually picked took place in, Venom, the Venom series that, Rick Remender did and then later Cullen Bunn took over. And, it was kind of interesting how it happened because I wasn't crazy about the idea of it whenever it did, but I really ended up liking the story. So how they released this was instead of it taking place during the Venom run for then, they decided to have just a month-long event in Venom. So what they did is they had issue 13, and then they did 13.1, 13.2, 13.3, and then they did 14 for the last issue. So they had an issue come out every week to do it, and it was really cool because it kind of had this connecting covers. And it was just really neat. So the premise of it is, Flash Thompson, at the beginning of this series was working for the government and he could only have the Venom symbiote for an allotted amount of time. They had a micro bomb inside of him that if he had it longer than 24 hours, then they were going to, blow it up.
Hate those micro bombs.
I know, right?
Worst.
So, the symbiote actually at one point, like, ejected it out. And Flash basically went AWOL from this whole program. And it kind of like, it was kind of deep because if you don't know anything about his past, his father was an abusive alcoholic. Flash had kind of fallen into that after he came back from the war and losing his legs. And he was doing this program, well, with everything else that was going on and him getting used to having the symbiote longer than 24 hours, it was starting to affect him, and he went into hiding from running from the government, and he went into hiding in Las Vegas. So they end up sending someone after him, and the person that they send is Thaddeus Ross, General Ross.
The mustache?
And it's whenever he's a red, is he still the Red Hulk now, or it's somebody else, isn't it?
He's depowered now. Yeah, they depowered him.
Okay, and somebody else is the Red Hulk.
There's another character who's another general that is basically his power allows him to be the Red Hulk for 1 hour in a 24-hour period. Okay. I don't know. He was in U.S. Avengers. I don't know where he's gone since then.
It's still that same basic thing of like, you have limited power to take care of your mission.
Yeah.
So they sent General Ross in as the Red Hulk to, go and capture Flash and bring the symbiote back because it's technically property of the U.S. government. Meanwhile, you find out that X-23, Laura is actually investigating stuff that's going on here, and she found out about some other cloning experiments that were going on using her DNA. And that was like a lot of her, most of her early stories was looking for people that were trying to clone her. So you come to find out that one of the key players that's in Las Vegas is Blackheart, and he pretty much came up with this plan of giving people money so they can keep gambling in trade for their souls. And after he had so many souls, he had the methods to open up a portal to hell in Las Vegas. At this time, there was also another Ghost Rider going on at the time. I cannot remember her name off the top of my head. She wasn't really in the series for very long. I think her story only went maybe 20 issues or so, and then kind of capped there.
Did she ride a motorcycle?
But she did ride a motorcycle. She had this kind of cool scythe thing. So she was hanging out with Johnny Blaze, and she sensed the presence of this evil, and goes after it. And the portal to hell opens up. Johnny Blaze pretty much puts like this idol that makes a perimeter around, and he basically leaves it to whoever's in there, to his protege Ghost Rider. And these four ended up like coming together and making a team, having to fight together, and they get their asses kicked. Like, Blackheart pulls out this mirror that gives them their antithesis, and those promptly kill them all.
Damn.
They go to hell. They have to make a deal with Mephisto to come back. They come up with one of the most insane, awesome, plans to take out Blackheart, because they're like, we're not, strong enough individually to fight him. So here's what we're gonna do. Cue the next scene of Red Hulk, with the Spirit of Vengeance covered in the Venom symbiote, riding up the side of a, building in Las Vegas, coming after Blackheart, on this giant motorcycle. Like I said, it was a really fun thing. They're still dealing with consequences of this event. In Donny Cates' run, he's made hints of them making this deal with Mephisto, because he kind of had his own stuff going on in it. If you just wanted to see some really interesting characters work together, or an interesting story with them, I totally recommend it. You could totally get it as just a one-off of that series. I thought it was a good, fun, little story that they did in the middle of Venom that, it was just, you gotta like it whenever they take characters that aren't used a whole lot.
Yeah, for sure.
And they just kind of bunch them all together and was you have an issue, you have to deal with this. You're not the heroes that we needed, but you're the ones that we got.
Mr. Knight right now.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. Like I said, they have collected editions of it, and it was just really fun to do.
Blackheart and Mephisto really need family counseling.
Yeah.
That's basically what their problem. They just need to talk about their feelings more.
Mm-hmm.
They would solve so many problems in the Marvel Universe if those dudes would just go see a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Blackheart goes into a therapy going we want to talk about your dad issues. My dad is the devil. No, look, you need to accept that. No, he's literally the devil.
He is
right?
the devil.
There's no talking out of that one.
No, but in a lot of ways, Blackheart is worse.
Yeah.
How are you worse than Mephisto? But Blackheart just finds a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. What you got for us, brother?
I've got a collection that is horror based. We're a little bit away from Halloween now, but Halloween is all year for me.
Yeah. Does Halloween ever end for you?
Never, never, ever. I want to talk about the Junji Ito adaptation of Frankenstein.
Ooh.
It just recently came out, I think about 2-3 weeks ago. I think we mentioned it on one of the episodes. Not much to tell if you don't know the story of Frankenstein, and with all horror, I don't like giving much away for all three of you who don't know the story of Frankenstein.
I was going to say, is there anyone at this point?
But it is a straight up, I've never read Mary Shelley's interpretation. I've seen the movie. I've seen, I know about Frankenstein. Sadly, I've never read the original novel, but it looks to be a straight adaptation from her writings with art that only Junji Ito can produce.
Right. And
the true creepiness and his interpretation of the creature, especially being that it's, heavily emphasizing the fact that this is just sewn together from flesh. And the little details, I don't even remember if the movies ever addressed it. That cause they talked about how the monster had to be bigger than a normal man to make everything work. But I remember specifically in this adaptation, at least, they mentioned having to put in animal parts and stuff to make the size different, that they had to go with the organs he couldn't, that Dr. Frankenstein couldn't procure. Mm-hmm. So it's a great story. Like I said, and if you've never read Mary Shelley, this might be a quick way to do it. But the art is just what gets you, of course. Yeah. It's just Ito's, this depiction of the monster is unsettling. As it should be. Mm-hmm. He's not the bolt with the flat head. Although was that Victor Frankenstein?
Yeah.
Why is the head flat? I like it.
Yeah, that's because I like it.
But, it's a great adaptation. And it's only half the book.
Mm-hmm.
You get I think it's around $20 book. You get the first half is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Then you get into what Ito, in my opinion, does best, is telling little short stories of horror. And it follows a character named Oshikiri in different dimensions. If you've watched the Junji Ito collection anime, they did one of these stories in it.
Really?
About Oshikiri, how he, and different stories, I don't want to give away too much, but it's there are multiple versions of him in multiple alternate universes. Mm-hmm. And at one point, they start to connect. And that's all I really want to say about it. It's, of course, it's some are better than others of the stories, but the opener is a simple hide the body story with an Ito twist that only he would think of. I mean, it's some weird and disturbing shit, and that's what he does best.
Yeah.
And it's good. Like, you have several of those stories, and then it ends with a kind of a throwback to another book that you don't really hear come up too often. Junji Ito's Cat Diary of Yan and Mu. He put out a book about the two cats that him and his wife had. It's not like a horror story, except it is, because it's how he sees things. And in the end of it, this Frankenstein one, he did a story about their dog, and while not quite on the level of Yan and Mu, it was still a good story.
I mean, it's a dog story.
Yeah.
Does he have human hands?
You'll have to read the book to find out. But yeah, so you get, not only do you get classic literature in his adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, you get some Junji Ito short stories involving Oshikiri, and then you get, it kind of ends on a note just about their dogs.
Yeah.
And it's for $20, I mean, obviously you get literature, you get horror, and you get a little dog. It's an impressive collection for the variety that really, it actually really shows what Ito does. Cause I mean, I always give everyone Uzumaki first, and I always feel bad because it's kind of hard to go from there, because I'd still say it's probably his best work.
If not some of the best work, just period.
Indeed. But like, it's when it gets you hooked, and you want to read more. And the other stories are great. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong, but like Uzumaki is definitely his peak of his performance. But this one's good. And if it's someone who maybe hasn't read manga, may not like it, but like horror and everyone's heard of Frankenstein.
Yep.
And like, hey, look, here's a Japanese adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein with a few short stories in the back as well. So it's something I would definitely recommend to go out and check out. And never know, if it puts you on to Ito, you can work your way up to Uzumaki and just thank us later.
I own this book, and it's the first manga that I actually own. Because I don't have a copy of Uzumaki yet.
I was about to say, you haven't bought Uzumaki yet. Okay.
It's on my list.
On your list. Yeah,
it's on my list.
Gotcha.
But it's first manga, and I got I'm not the resident manga guy, as people who have listened to the show probably know, but I love it, man. Junji Ito has got me hooked. He's kind of a must buy at this point. I will pick up anything that he does. Yeah. Just because he's phenomenal.
Oh yeah. I know we mentioned before, but yeah, go out there and find Uzumaki, Gyo, Tomi, the anthology Tomi, which will show his career. You'll see his growth as a mangaka from Tomi. That's the stories he's been writing from beginning to end of his career. He's still going. But they have Shiver, which is a collection of short stories. Like, there's plenty of Junji Ito goodness. They could all be part of my trade paperback talk. Yeah. Because he has put out a huge body of work, and most, if not all of it now, is translated over here. Mm-hmm. So you can go to your local Barnes & Noble, your local comic book shop, and get them. And don't overlook his story about his cats. It's adorable and awesome.
I have that at my house. I think it's your copy.
Oh yeah, I think I lent it too.
Yeah, it's in my box. It's going to get read.
One of these days.
Yep, as soon I've got to.
That damn elusive free time.
If man, I really, and I know Caleb wishes it too, that he had more time, because I would wholeheartedly push Gantz on him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, from what you guys were telling me, I want to read it. So I sent you guys an email the other day, since we're on the topic of manga, that was like a history of manga. Were you able to
see this whole thing about free time?
No, for sure. Yeah,
sadly, no, I've still got it in there. I've not deleted it. I'm going to check that out.
It's a quick, I mean, it's not a super quick read, but it's like you can do it in less than an hour. It's just a couple pages, but it's about the history of manga. Oh. And I read it for this class I'm taking in school. It was kind of required reading. I'm curious to see what you guys think about it. I want your opinions on it whenever you get a chance.
I'll make some time for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's no rush or anything. I just thought you guys might enjoy that, so I sent it your way.
Yeah, just haven't had much reading outside of prep for the show and reading part 2 of my book of the week that we talked about a couple of episodes ago with the artist I went towards Demon Wars. I'm on book 2. That's taking up most of my free time reading.
Oh, I understand. Trust me, I understand. That's our Thanksgiving episode, guys. Yay! Woo! As we were saying earlier, there's another holiday.
Actually, sorry. We did wrap up this trade talk with manga, so our bowls are empty.
Ooh, good one. I forgot about that. Yeah, see? So one thing that we're going to do this year, and let's just do some housekeeping real quick. We're going to have an end of the year special where we talk about things like what our favorite book of 2018 was, who our favorite creators were, this, that, and the other. So just I've got my spreadsheets pulled up, but let's think about some topics. And I may throw this to the Facebook group. I haven't decided yet because, I don't like, there are some things that, are so specific, I think might get dropped off that might get dropped in there that wouldn't make for really good topics because there's only one thing that could fill that spot. But then I also think if people put that on the page, they may get offended if we don't include it as part of our thing. So haven't decided yet, if I'm going to do that yet, but what would you guys like to see, on the end of the year episode? Are there things outside? I mean, like the comics we're going to have covered, right? Cause that's where, but what things outside of that would you guys want to see?
I'm a big fan of, lists. And so we don't have to necessarily dive in deep into our choices, maybe give quick rundowns. I would say let's do our favorite movies, not necessarily even this comic, just in the geek genre.
From 2018?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like our favorite movies, video games, just list of stuff that...
Video games is a good one. It was a good year for video games.
Yeah. Favorite cons. We all went to multiple cons today. Maybe like, what was our favorite con or something?
Okay. Is there any like wrestling related things that we should throw in there?
Oh, y'all have been very kind about the WrestleMania. If there's maybe I can give a quick just kind of recap of major events that happened through the year.
Well, because we'll have our all of our listeners and stuff vote on stuff.
Yeah, that's
if you have stuff to throw out, people will vote on it.
Yeah, so what we're going to do.
I'm sorry, I was listening, but I wasn't. I guess I didn't.
Have you heard of Hillbilly?
No, actually.
No. So what we'll do is I'll make a Google form that anybody can click into, and we'll share that. But it'll have the questions, and it tallies it for us, and so it'll give us the listener vote, and then we'll have our vote. But I was just trying to kind of think of what would make good topics. Like what your favorite, maybe, pay-per-view or something from the year was or something like that.
We'll put wrestling, like news or wrestling. I want to say event because I don't want to say necessarily favorite pay-per-view. Yeah. But like big things happened. Ronda Rousey started officially in the WWF. Roman Reigns leukemia announcement. The passing of wrestling. Like, you know what? Like, I guess maybe favorite or biggest event or noteworthy event in wrestling or something, or just wrestling happening, something like that.
All right.
Well, I appreciate you giving me a wrestling time.
No, for sure, man. I want to throw it in there. So just be looking
favorite
forward.
animes that came out.
Favorite animes would be a good one. Yeah.
So we had a lot of different anime come out this year too. Good variety this year. So.
Yeah. So just be looking forward to that, guys. We're going to, like I said, we're going to come up with something, some type of Google form that is shareable via the interwebs. And we're going to put that out, and it won't take long. You just click a button and it's multiple choice. Or you can maybe write something in. I don't know. We'll figure out the best way to do it to, include that. And sometime in the first week or so of 2019, Jesus Christ, I'm getting old. We'll have our best of 2018 special, and we want to include all of you, dear listeners, in that. So be looking forward to that. Check out these trades. All of them. You can find them in collected editions in one way or the other. I think they would all benefit your shelf. Do we have anything else? We're ready to bring this episode home.
My phone is on 69%. I just figured you guys would like to know. It's the sex number.
Yep. That's all. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, if you've liked what you've heard, except for that last part,
that's my contribution. You're welcome.
You can find us again on the Facebook, and we encourage you to join us there, where we're doing all kinds of crazy fun happening things because we're crazy fun happening people.
Oh, Jesus.
Shut up.
We also gonna throw in a vote for who you want to stay on this 3-minute podcast.
Vote someone off the island.
But come check us out there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, shoot us an email at southernfriedgeekery@gmail.com. If nothing else, I think we do have something else.
I just remembered it was something I wanted to acknowledge
to
the fan base. We put up a poll about what y'all thought about our Facebook page, and we just want to thank everyone that did vote and give us our input on that.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think I need to look at it.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, it's you're cool with the page.
You like how it is.
Yeah, I was afraid that maybe we weren't getting enough interaction, but everybody seems like they're okay with it. So we're going to stick with it for now. Beyond that, hang out at the end of this episode. Listen to John Russo, also known as Jack Russo. He goes by both. And Mr. Brian Steward talk about some zombies and talk about Night of the Living Dead. And other than that, go forth and love some comics. Woo! All right, guys. First, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Caleb. I am a co-host of the Southern Fried Geekery podcast. Hi, guys. So I'm super honored to be able to moderate this panel today as these guys draw some pretty amazing stuff for us, inevitably. So for everyone who doesn't know, we'll lead up to the best. This is Mr. Brian Steward, who runs Phantasm Media. Oh yeah, I'm giving, yeah. I figured you would like that. For those, if you don't know, Phantasm Media is some of the most premier horror magazines out there today. They're getting some of the best interviews, some of the best content that you can get. They do have a table set up. You can go buy some of their magazines. It's wonderful. I strongly encourage you to do that. We want your money. That is true. We have the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. John Russo, with us today. The horror industry would be nothing without this man, and I don't say that lightly. He wrote the quintessential horror movie. He wrote Night of the Living Dead. We would not have anything in the zombie world without him. He's the godfather of it all. So with that being said, I don't think I can have these two men up here who are titans of the horror industry and not draw zombies. Are you guys cool with us drawing zombies? All right. So, well, I guess we'll get started. There's 45 minutes. We've got till 2:45, I think. Yep. At the end of it, you've all got red tickets. We'll raffle them off, and you get to own a piece of amazing original art. So I'm super excited. So,
See, this is a little bit weird because I can't draw. And he can.
No,
This is like Muhammad Ali against Woody Allen.
so you need help, is what we need to team up and one person hold him down while you just draw. So yeah, let's get started. Grab your pencils and just draw some zombies. Are y'all cool with that?
You mean just draw one at a time, or how do you want?
However, whatever your take is. If you want to draw a field of zombies, if you want to draw a single zombie.
I mean, just one sheet at a time?
Yeah, just one sheet. We're giving away one piece
We
of...
will give away however many drawings you have.
However
many you do.
You're going to draw one for me too, though.
That would make it more fair.
So just, as many drawings as you want to do. Just pump out some zombies. And we'll chit-chat for a little bit if y'all are cool with that.
Okay.
I'm not cool with that.
Restrictions.
I know, but we talk all the time. So you're just going to be forced to. So I think we have to talk about Night of the Living Dead, right? That's just something that we have to do.
Yeah.
And we're sitting here with the man who conceptualized the entire thing.
I got a cramp in my hand. I have to quit.
Uh-oh.
Call the whole thing off. I do have a cramp.
What are we, like 30 seconds in? Come on, man.
I have an old injury here, and it tends to cramp up every now and then. Like when I have to draw zombies.
No.
The zombie genre didn't yet exist because you hadn't invented it yet. Where did you kind of conceptualize some of what would become Night of the Living Dead?
Well, I mean, there were zombie films, but I never. I went to see every film that came into town in my hometown, 12 miles from downtown Pittsburgh. We had 3 theaters back then, and the movies changed twice a week, so there were a lot of movies. And I went to see all the horror films, and most of them were disappointing. And the zombie films were especially disappointing, I thought. I always say zombies weren't heavyweight fright material like werewolves or vampires. All the zombies did in those early days. They'd shamble around and throw somebody against a wall or try to strangle somebody or whatever, and it just was disappointing. So whenever we decided to make a horror film, George Romero and I were the 2 writers in the group. And so we started beating ideas around. I said, whatever we do ought to start in a cemetery, because people find cemeteries spooky, even with Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein or whatever. I mean, Dracula, for example. It's funny, but it's scary too, because you got the Campbells moving around the coffin and Costello doing all that shit. And but at the same time, it was scary. So I started working on a thing where these kids steal a case of beer, and they're hiding it in a cemetery, and they get caught. And the one kid gets punished by his parents, and he runs away from home. He's running through the woods, and crack, he steps through a pane of glass, and under that pane of glass is a rotting corpse. And the idea was that aliens had come to Earth, which you wouldn't find out till later. And they're in search of human flesh. And like in the Middle Ages in England, for example, when they killed a goose, they'd hang it up to rot for a few days before they ate it. So I figured that's how these aliens would like their human flesh, rotted a little bit.
Give it a little bit of flavor.
So I'm working on that, and then George came in one day, and he had written about 30 pages of a story where this girl and her brother go to a cemetery, and it was in essence what became the beginning of Night of the Living Dead. And I said, George, this has all the right suspense and twists and turns. It's pretty good, but who's chasing this girl? And he said, I don't know. And I said, well, when I was reading it, I was picturing dead people. He said, that's good. And I said, but what are they after? You don't say that either. And he said, I don't know. And I said, why don't we use my flesh-eating idea? So that's how they became dead people after human flesh. And without those two ideas, you don't have Night of the Living Dead or anything else that came after it. So,
Brian, so Mr. Russo wrote Mr. Russo wrote the book about zombies, but you've written the book on zombies and specifically Night of the Living Dead. What drew you to this genre? What drew you to this
a hefty paycheck.
A hefty paycheck?
Yep.
Is that what it was?
I don't even like zombies. No, I'm kidding. Actually, Night of the Living Dead was the first film I ever owned. As a kid, when I was 12 years old, I got a VCR and for Christmas, and I got the old Good Times VHS copy of Night, and let's see, Alice, Sweet Alice, and Psychomania was this twofer on this other one, and I really loved this film, Psychomania. It was an English film that, now stay with me, kids. This was a PG-rated film. Have you seen Psychomania? The Psychomania. It's a film 72. It's an English film.
I don't think so.
Undead bikers. It's great. PG-rated. You've got, let's see, a mother-son psychosexual relationship. Again, PG. Witchcraft, devil worship. We've got Rising from the Dead, a la Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell on motorcycle. It's awesome. You've got a full sing-along song, hippie style, complete with roses and beads and all this garbage. You've got like an LSD flavored room that you go in when you worship the frog. It's so good. Has anybody seen Psychomania other than me?
I want to now.
Dude. It's on Arrow. Just put it out on Blu-ray. It's got a good restoration, and Arrow is also a really good company. Does some really good 70s, 80s horror films. But check it out. So anyway, I was really enjoying this film, Psychomania, but I kept putting this other VHS in more often. Night of the Living Dead. These were the only 3 movies that I had that, because back then you didn't have control over your TV. There was no Netflix or anything like that. If you wanted to watch something, you watched what was on television or you went to the movies. But I could watch these 3 movies at my leisure. And I would watch Night of the Living Dead the most. And I just remember like this little black and white television. And there was, when Barbara and Johnny are running, we're in the cemetery, and as soon as Johnny dies and that drone starts, the music, just this thunderous music, and that little terrible speaker on that TV would crackle. And I remember that when I was a kid, as we would watch Barbara run to the house and the door shuts and it gets silent. And that and that really great exchange between brother and sister in the cemetery, and just the way that all the characters were. When I was younger, it didn't really occur to me that it was written so well. but there was something about it that just kept making me watch it over and over. And then obviously later I realized this was just really
You were
good.
too dense to get it the first time.
I was, I was getting to the part where I was going to compliment your writing, but we're done. We're done here. You can't tell we know each other, right? But no, I would watch this film over and over, and it honestly became my favorite film. And I'll never tell him that though. So don't tell him. Don't tell him.
I heard him.
Damn it. So eventually I started doing other things. It could get long and drawn out and nobody cares.
Right.
It's a long story. But anyway, that was the beginning for me.
That's fantastic. Well, so you're talking about how good this writing is, and I have to agree to the point that it's even being studied on the collegiate level. I'm taking a class at UA Little Rock. Here it's called The Politics of Horror. And so we're studying your script to see some of the moves that you make. And I know the film, if you look back on it now, the film has there are some political aspects to it, or at least it can be read that way. Especially when you're talking about the way that women are in horror, the treatment of African American individuals in horror. Was that on your mind when you were writing it, or was that some of the film?
No.
No? Okay.
No, there was none of that. We just wanted to make a film that... We went to see all the horror films. When I say we, me, George Romero, Russ Streiner, and they were always disappointing. And there were a lot of things like that had to do with nuclear radiation and mutations and all that. And you'd have
The Blob that came
attack of the giant grasshopper and attack of the giant caterpillar and all that.
There's nothing worse than a giant
And it was the same trite plot over and over again. It was like the town drunk would see something and nobody would believe him, and then the town drunk would get killed, and then the scientist would do some tests, and he'd say, "This looks like caterpillar slime," and then, "I'll be damned, it is caterpillar slime. We must be dealing with a giant caterpillar." And then the National Guard would come in with flamethrowers and tanks and destroy whatever it was. They were all the same. So we just wanted to we did a lot of talk about giving horror fans their money's worth for a change. And so we wanted, once you buy into this outlandish premise that the dead can come back to life and they're going to be flesh eaters, we wanted the characters to behave like normal people would if such a catastrophe actually happened.
Right.
So, and the sheriff is not a redneck. He kills Ben by accident.
Pure happenstance.
I came in one day when I was working on the script because George got pulled away on some project, and I didn't want. It was already April, and I thought if we don't shoot this summer, we might never make a film. So I just took over the script writing chores, and I ended up writing most of it. And they, that's my train of thought there. One day I said, Pennsylvania is a big deer hunting state, and every year 300,000 or 400,000 deer are slaughtered and 10 or 12 drunk hunters. And wouldn't it be ironic if our hero Ben was killed by accident? And so that's what I wrote. And the sheriff was just a guy doing a job. I mean, if they came back to life, somebody'd have to go out and kill them. But we were trying to be iconoclastic.
Right.
We didn't know we didn't know the distribution business at that time. We had made dozens and dozens of documentaries and educational films and TV spots and things like that, and experimental films on our own. But this was our first horror film. We didn't know if we could get it distributed, so we really didn't flinch from doing the iconoclastic things. We felt things that would get the attention, hopefully.
Right.
We used to talk about that we'd get it distributed, we'd get it shown somewhere, even if we had to hand carry it from theater to theater. So
you guys got a lot of flack over the years about the representation of Barbara shutting down, didn't you? The way she sort of
becoming catatonic.
Yeah.
We didn't get so much flack, but the thing is, now there are a lot of big productions in Pittsburgh. Russ Streiner founded the film office in 1989 and carried on the struggle to get support for it. And now there's 5 or 6 major productions all the time going on. But back then, Pittsburgh was one of the top. Pittsburgh was the number 3 corporate headquarters city in America behind New York and Chicago. So there was always a lot of film production. There were 20 different companies from one-man operations on up. So the city wasn't any stranger to film production. But feature films weren't being made in Pittsburgh. And the actors and models that we work with were avocational. You know, they could take off 2 or 3 days to be in a commercial or an industrial film, but we're trying to think, well, how do we cast this thing? And we knew we wanted Carl Hardman and Marilyn Eastman in on it, and we had worked with them. We knew they could act. We were after getting 10 basic people that could either be the filmmakers or actors or something, besides putting up $600 to get it started. And then we're thinking, well, this girl Barbara is probably going to have 17 or 18 shooting days, and who in the hell do we know that it can afford to take off 2 or 3 weeks from work to do that? And we really didn't know, couldn't fill that part. So, and then we didn't know who could carry the whole, the acting. So if the girl goes catatonic, then we only have to get her through the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I kind of underwrote that part because of all those reasons. It turned out that she was a pretty good actress and could have done more, but that's the way we wrote it, that she goes catatonic.
Well, I think that's a natural reaction to a situation that provokes fear. I think there are absolutely
Yeah.
people
So again,
who go catatonic.
so it was logical that she would do that. Just
Sure.
like everything else we did was logical.
Well, she just saw her brother murdered, and now people are chasing
Yeah.
her, trying to eat her. And it's male or female. It just seems like somebody in that size group of people, somebody's going to shut down and lose
Right.
their.
Absolutely.
And I always thought that made the movie more believable.
Yeah, because
To me.
there's a significant human element to it.
Oh yeah.
So, Brian, stepping away from the zombies for a minute, I know you're a lot like me, and music has played an important role tapping into your love of the horror genre. You work with bands like Kiss. You are wearing a Glenn Danzig pin right now.
Oh, isn't that precious?
I know, it's really cute. Kind of like Glenn. It's small and black, kind of like Glenn. He's I see what I did there. How big of a role has music played into making you fall in love with horror, or just the horror genre? What's that relationship like?
Here's a non-interesting funny story.
Not interesting.
I'll preface this with nobody's going to give a shit.
Why do you think that?
No, when I was a kid, I loved Fangoria magazine. And I don't know why I just got that paper. I have some here. This one's special. So I would take this one particular issue of Fangoria with me to school every day. I want to say it was like number 86, 87, but I could be wrong. You feel free to fact check me, but it doesn't matter. And it was an issue that had just tons of, it was like one of the better cross-section issues of Fango as far as all the different types of monsters that were in that particular issue. Because, Fango covered everything. But the coolest thing was they had my absolute favorite monster in there, and that was Gene Simmons.
Right.
When I was a kid, the sun and the moon to me was Kiss. That was really the alpha and omega of my days. And so I used to carry that issue with me, and I would draw the monsters, and I would always try to draw Gene. And that was just what I would do. This was when I was in like elementary, middle school. Okay, and so that always was really cool that there was like this amalgam of the two things that I loved the most in this one issue of this magazine. And then later on, I had become friends with the editor-in-chief of Fangoria. Mm-hmm. And I was just a cover artist and had done stuff like for Fango and Warzone. and I'd worked at heavy metal and done, things at film companies, but not really, at that point, what I would consider a writer. And Chris, the then editor-in-chief of Fango, was as big a Kiss fan as I was. And so he introduced me to George Romero, and that, so we became friendly. And so the trade-off was I introduced him to Ace Frehley, because he was a huge Kiss fan. And so I took him back to meet Ace, and he said, it'd be really cool if we had Ace in Fangoria. He said, why don't you interview him? I said, okay, I've never done that before. He said, well, you got to start somewhere. So the very first thing I did for Fango was actually bringing a founding member of Kiss back to Fango. And there's absolutely no reason for that. There's, people go to school and take journalism classes and practice and write. And the first thing I did was went straight to the biggest horror magazine and put one of the biggest rock and roll icons in there. That's stupid. And there's no way to say that without me being clear that was total happenstance and I had no business doing it. But I did. Right. And then from there, it just sort of snowballed. And I was able to marry those two worlds. And we ended up continuing doing stuff at Fango until it closed. And I worked on the official Kiss magazine, and I started doing some photography for the band and some booking for Gene. And before it was over with, I was the editor-in-chief. The editor-in-chief, again, didn't go to school for journalism, have no business in this chair. Editor-in-chief of Kiss's magazine for the band. So that's what I currently have that title. And then I also publish, our stuff too at Phantasm. So, right. I have no business, saying how to get into this industry because sometimes it just happens. Yeah. And sometimes maybe it's just perseverance, right place, right time, who you know, and not being a complete idiot. Yeah. Which I had most of those covered.
Well, those of us who know you, I think we had a question in the back that somebody.
I have questions for both of them, and then I just subscribed to your podcast. Looking forward to listening to your 40-plus podcast on a Country Fried
Southern Fried Geekery. Thank you.
Just subscribed. It's on a Podcast Addict, free. Check it out.
Man, you even got a little PR thrown in there. That was nice.
It's not a shameless plug, especially radio voice. Unless you do it yourself. But Mr. Russo. Do you find it more satisfying? I have two parts. More satisfying in front of the camera or behind the camera, because I know you were Uncle John at the zombie, right? And which one's easier? Which one's more satisfying and which one's easier?
Well, none of it's easy.
Okay. Because I've heard from lots of artists, especially on podcasts, saying how easy it is playing a role. Just say the lines. Just do the job. How are we getting paid?
If you're producing, directing, camera work, whatever you're doing like that, you have a lot more concerns. The actors have to worry about portraying a role, remembering their lines and delivering them well and all that stuff. But then that's a focused kind of thing. But whenever you're producing or you're actually behind the camera, everything's a problem. The plane's going overhead, the sound, the ego problems, and every damn thing you have to deal with. At the same time, trying to do a creative job, but keep tabs on all the technical aspects of making a movie.
See, I've heard that from people.
It's all rewarding, it's the day the cameras roll, you can cut the air with a knife. I mean, there's just a level of excitement and there's electricity in the air because it's so hard to get anything financed and off the ground, and now it's rolling and people can count on making some money for a change and all that kind of stuff. So the Uncle John thing, it's really, I think, an interesting story. It got started when I was a guest of Kirk Hammett, who's the lead guitarist of Metallica, and he has a horror collection, one of the greatest collections in the world of everything, and he likes to show it every now and then. He has these Kirk Von Hammett's Fear Fest Evil, he calls them. So Rob Lucas is a friend, a really good friend of mine. He was my co-director on the Uncle John movie, and so he suggested to Kirk that I should be in Kirk's tent at the Orion Festival in Belle Island in Detroit. That was in 2013, I don't know, something like that. Well, then they liked the way I related to them and their fans, and when it was all done, I emailed Mark Paskey, who Kirk's right-hand man, and I said, now that the smoke's clearing, I want to thank you for everything. He said, thank us? No, thank you. You're one of our favorites. We're going to invite you to everything we do. Fine with me. So I got invited to the event in San Francisco, and the Epix channel was doing a slate of commercials for zombie films they were going to show that season, and they were doing 30-second commercials with me and Greg Nicotero, Tom Savini, and PJ Souls, Gunnar Hansen, who's now dead, and Kane Hodder, anyway. And they had this little script. They had a script where I'm drinking beer in my hometown, and the door is busted down, and a horde of zombies come at me, and when I wake up, I'm a zombie. Well,
I hate when that happens.
What?
Were you involved in any of the writing of the zombie
Not of that script, which I didn't think was all that good, but and then I ad-libbed about a half hour's worth of stuff, and they were all cracking up. And the producer, Mike Ruggiero, texted Rob, who was back at Kirk's event, and he said Russo knocked it out of the park. And then that commercial became the favorite one, and I thought, well, if people like this stuff, then I should write a full-length script, so I did. And then I had to play the character, because in essence I invented the character, and I thought, I will do this. You have to have a certain amount of defiance in this business, because everybody will tell you can't do this and you can't do that. And
Is that your first time in front of the
in fact, George Romero, I have a script called Talk Kappa Zombie. All Hell Week Breaks Loose in the Frat House of the Living Dead. George read it and he shit all over it, really. And said, you're trying to reinvent yourself and all that. Come on, reinvent myself. I've been doing all kinds of things in this business for my whole career. I didn't just do one kind of thing. So I was kind of pissed off about that. And I said, I'll show you who's reinventing himself. So I did and it takes a leap of faith, and it takes, like I said, a certain defiance and belief in yourself, and at the same time, you don't know if you're going to succeed ever. So I was worried about it. And we started to get the first edits, and Rob by that time was back in LA, and he's shown it to people, and he said, people are cracking up, and they're saying the Uncle John character is the best thing in the movie. And I said, come on, I didn't want to just believe that. And he got mad, and he said, damn it, Jack, you're funny. All right, I said, well, if that's true, then good, because the first cut was only about 70 minutes, because we ran out of shooting weather in Pittsburgh, so we knew we had to shoot more. And I said, if it's true that they're buying into that character, we can really make something out of this movie. So I wrote more stuff, and we went to LA, and we shot it, finished shooting out there. Mm-hmm. So that's what happened. And people have been cracking up over the movie, and it's been getting good reviews and festivals and special screenings. And the distributor loved it, and we had 5 different offers. So let's see what it does. But I've seen it with enough audiences that I'm satisfied that people do. People are getting a kick out. It's a funny thing, the idea of it is that Uncle John has been, his ditzy niece and dumbass security guard nephew have kept him. They've saved him from getting shot or thrown onto a bonfire, and keep him hidden for 40 years, and they're secretly feeding him. And then they decide to bring him out in the public to advocate for zombie rights. Well, I can talk like I'm talking now.
Sure.
You know, I get my speech faculty back because I'm so intelligent to begin with. It's like,
Choking on my food and I'm not even eating.
just like, or people recover their speech faculties after a stroke or whatever. And some people think I'm a real zombie and some people think I'm a fake. And then I finally take a medical exam and they find out that I'm for real. And I become world famous. And I even get hired to do commercials. And I do a commercial for Cold Crypt Pilsner, the one beer to have on your next zombie walk or wake, you know. And then I do one for, and I'm writing this stuff and we're shooting it in Rob's studio. And, you know, there's all these commercials now for Cialis and Viagra and every other. It's like nobody can get a hard on anymore in this country. So I wrote one, and Rob came up with a name for it, Zombie Lube. An amazing new sexual aid that I've developed with the Zombie Research Institute, same place that gave me my physical exam.
What's the website for that?
Zombie Lube will give a stiffy. So imagine what it will do for you. So we had a screening in
God in heaven.
We had a screening at a film festival in Syracuse, and a young girl come up to my table afterwards. She said, "That Zombie Lube commercial was so funny, I almost fell out of my seat and onto the floor laughing." And before I could say anything, she added, she said, "And I'm a sex therapist."
Oh, wow.
I'm thinking maybe I can get some of that therapy. So anyway, I said, "So what kind of therapy do you do?" And she said, "Well, I counsel senior citizens." I said, "Well, I guess a whole lot of them don't need sex therapy." She said, "Well, I have to convince them to use condoms." I said, "But a lot of them aren't getting pregnant, are they?" She said, "Well, the thing is, they know they're not going to get pregnant, so they're not using condoms, and there's a chlamydia epidemic." I said, "Chlamydia?" I said, "I guess you haven't heard about the AIDS epidemic among senior citizens." And she said, "No, I haven't." I said, "Yeah, they have a big AIDS epidemic. Band-Aids, roll aids, and hearing aids."
I think we have time for about one more question.
I did have one from Mr. Russo. Thank you, Mr. Russo. I have one from Mr. Steward.
Yes, sir.
I have many friends that were members of the KISS Army back in the 80s, and I never got to join.
Members of what?
But
The KISS Army.
when did you take
KISS
over
Army.
the magazine?
Like 20 minutes ago?
Excellent. And I may be paranoid.
No, I took it over, God, I don't know, last issue, was it, how long was that? 6,000, I don't know. The most current issue. Well, I published the KISS poster book for the band. So I'm the editor and publisher of that, and then I'm the editor-in-chief of their magazine, the KISS magazine, and so I took over the most recent issue that we just put out.
I may be paranoid, but are you making caricatures of all of our skulls? Because I think number 5 looks a lot like
Not all of you, but I was going to Oprah this shit up and make sure you get a zombie, and you get a zombie, and you get a zombie, and you get a zombie.
He's the Oprah of zombies.
So none of them are that good. I was just trying to rush through as many as I could before we were done, so everybody gets something to throw away.
That's fantastic. Well, so I lied. I think we have time for one more question. We have any from this side of the room? You look like you have one. Go ahead, spit it out.
Well, he said he's done work with KISS. Did you have anything to do with the movie that they did? Or was it Phantom of the Theme Park or something to that effect?
Was that for you? I couldn't hear. I don't know.
Do either one of y'all remember that one?
Oh yeah, I set it. Dude, I set up Halloween and watched that. That was Halloween night. I think it was opposite Cleopatra on ABC, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and it was supposed to be, according to Gene, they were told that it was going to be basically A Hard Day's Night meets Star Wars, and that is not what I saw.
Still liked it.
Oh no, and you've got Anthony Zerbe in it, who's Abner Devereaux. And the thing is, there were some interesting plot points that I think done with actual direction and maybe some time, it could have been a really good film. But in its own way, it is a good bad film. And I'm not being disparaging towards the band or anything like that. And I don't care if anybody hears this on YouTube. I'll tell Gene the same thing. It's just it's a really terrible, great movie. I mean, it is. But there are moments in the movie where you're like, really? No, don't do that.
Well, I've
But-
always said that music has pushed a lot of movies, helping along.
Well, we wouldn't have gotten Rip and Destroy if it hadn't been for that film, right? The song. Remember that? They reworded one of their songs to create Rip and Destroy.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, so how about we give these guys a round of applause?
Yeah.
Thanks for coming here.
Thank you, guys.
Not every day we get to
I
sit
did
and
3
sit around.
pictures. I think I quit.
Well, some of us wish that Brian had quit at one point.
I'm so limited in my drawing ability.
I think they're fantastic. No, so how about we give some of these away? Are y'all okay with that?
Yes.
All right. So I will let. You want me to take it up there? Or?
Here, I'll do it.
Okay. Just start wherever we want to start.
Well, Brian, do you have enough for everybody to get one?
Do you have enough for the entire class, Brian? If not, put the cupcakes away. Yeah, I think I do.
You think you do?
I think I do.
All right. We're going to let you draw for yours, and then we'll see how many Brian has.
Should I draw 3 of them then?
Sure.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
All
By the
right.
way, you go to the website, we have product tie-ins. We have soundtrack CDs, really good. And we have a novel, and we even have Zombie Lube.
The ED product is on there as well?
What?
Yes. The end product is available.
It's My Uncle John is a zombie.com. And you can see clips from the movie. You can actually see the commercial too.
Brian, where can they find more Phantasm stuff?
Phantasmmedia.com. FANTASM media, MEDIA, in case you can't spell media.com.
You should go check those websites out. Also, visit their tables outside. There's still plenty of time.
Yeah, you can bring me your money.
Yeah, they've got product. You just put out a magazine with Linnea Quigley featuring her.
Yep.
You're putting out new stuff all the time with some of the
Yep.
most amazing people in horror history.
Well, thank you.
Won't get anywhere else.
We've got
What do
the
I do,
new
read the numbers
we've got the
out?
new
Yep.
50th anniversary Night of the Living Dead magazine on the table. We've got the George Romero issue. All the Kiss magazines are over there, and other things. And
I have
stuff,
Uncle John
too.
posters and other stuff.
I think you've got a few scripts left too, don't you?
Yeah, I have the original Night of the Living Dead screenplay signed and numbered by me and George Romero. The
Very
script
cool.
I used, I was the only one that kept the script. They all threw them away. And it sold for $5,000.
Oh wow.
So we made 1,000 signed and numbered. They're $100. But it's maybe your last chance to get them because my publisher's going to buy the 50 that are left.
Well, let's read out some of those numbers and give away some art.
Quick question for you. How do you feel about the Living Dead TV series?
Well, I never watched it, and I don't care about it. George hated it because he said that they ripped us off, which I hear that they did. I hear the first comic books were, well, in essence, the Night of the Living Dead story. But
They had to get their start somewhere.
I never watched one until I wrote the foreword for Travis Langley's book about it. And so I had to watch one to see what it was all about. That's when I watched. I watched the first one. That's
Feel free to
it.
throw these away, I don't care. Ratfish, live bird cages.
What's he doing, giving everybody one?
Yeah, he drew one for everybody. So you get to read off your numbers.
So yours are the item to win. So yours are the rare item.
Who wants two more?
I want one.
Okay, you guys don't get two more.
I want one.
Okay, here's the winners of this crap that I drew. They all start with 5070, so 266.
266.
See, right away, nobody wants
Okay, I want it.
266. What number did you
Did I
get?
get 266?
I want a ticket. Hey, I want.
I did get 266. I got 266.
Nobody
Which
left.
one do you want?
Why didn't I get a ticket?
Well, so just to be honest, so everybody knows this
Well,
was
he's
not
already
in any
drawn,
way rigged.
so-
Brian, which one do you want, buddy? Oh.
Well, wait a minute. There's two more.
Yeah, you want to let them.
Oh,
Yeah,
we did
we'll do
three.
the other two, and then
Yeah.
we'll be sore winners.
264.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do with the ticket.
Yeah.
Which
Trash.
one do you want?
I want this one.
No, you don't.
Okay.
Trash along with Brian's photo.
Go down 261.
261.
Gosh.
Hey. Instilling the love in the next generation.
Yep.
So, Brian, that means that you get to go home with the one that says "I hurt."
Yes.
I'll donate it. Guys, thank you for joining us for the panel today. Again, stop by these booths. The Southern Fried Geekery podcast also has a booth outside. Swing by, pick up some free swag. Listen to our podcast. We put out a new episode every Sunday. We talk about comics and more. So thank you all. Have a great rest of the night.
Thank you.
Good job. Thanks, guys.